Well, Shilty, it's a 200 Cops live from the International Convention Centre in Sydney. How are you, mate?
Mate, I am excellent. And we've had a pretty good time here, mate. But,
We have.
Sorry, mate. Do you want to go into who we've got on here or who we're here supporting, which people probably know, but you want to introduce our speaker at the moment?
Yeah, so we've come down to the National Suicide Prevention Conference here in Sydney at the invite of Nick White from Bellator Fortitudinum. We spoke to Nick on episode 76, and he's back again, mate.
Back again. Can't keep me away.
No. Mate, thanks very much for the invite. It's been great.
Very welcome.
We might have had an ale or two last night. We took over the stand for a little while this morning, so it was 200 Cops taking over the scene. It was great. So how's it been, mate? So tell us since the last episode, how's it going with Bellator? And secondly, how's your conference been?
Mate, it's been, this is our first conference, which has been incredible. And it's actually the first time the Suicide Prevention Australia has had podcasters here. So this is the very first episode. So you're breaking their virginity with podcasts.
There we go.
That's what we like. But yeah, since we last spoke, we've had a rebranding, which is amazing because I did the whole, Roman Empire, let's go and charge the world, and the strong colours, thinking I was doing the right thing. And then we got further into it and we found out that the colours that you use for mental health when you read, and it's very important to have the right selection of colours that makes reading these sorts of things easier, and the colours I had were very, very strong, very masculine. So the colours that we've gone with are absolutely amazing. It tones things down, but it's really inviting and warm for people to read and be involved in it. It kind of makes it, you want to, go onto the next page on the website instead of looking and going, wow, that's a bit strong. So we've done that. We've now up to just under 700 members across Australia, which is incredible. And we have had a lot more interest in people actually wanting to know who we are. We've had a lot of incidents where people have turned around. There was one member who was really struggling, first time out doing anything, and she was at the post office and she was like, I don't think I can be here. She's turned around and has seen a couple of people back wearing the Bellator shirt. And she saw the logo, and then she turned around and she went, I feel like someone's got my back. I'm okay. I can do this. I'm safe. Did whatever she needed to do in the post office, then went back to the car, burst into tears, and then messaged me going, I can't believe this is how strong this symbol has made me feel and the group has made me feel. A lot of stories about that, a lot of stories about the brotherhood and the sisterhood that is missing when you leave the organisations. There's none of this, blue family and all that. I personally think that those blue family and, the red family for the fireys and all that sort of stuff, they're all there when you leave the job. It's a totally different environment, and because these organisations, you're just a number to them, as we all know. But when you leave, that's when the real friendship and the mateship comes around, and to create that sort of safe bubble and safety net for them. So we've really pushed on with the idea of making it a very, very safe space for people. We're branching out the website. We've had our amazing Pakistani web designer, Bobby. His real name's Assad, but I can't say his last name. I can't remember. But he calls himself Bobby. He's been absolutely amazing. We've been communicating through WhatsApp, and he's on the other side of the world. So we've been sending him everything, and he has recreated and rebranded our website for us, which is stunning. It's under construction now, the Warrior Portal. So it's this little section on the website where you'll click on it and you can then go and find what you want. If you're looking for a workers' compensation lawyer or, a resource for that individual or specific things, it'll eventually turn around and have it state by state. So you can click on Western Australia and go, I want this, I want that. So it's really been amazing to see the website go from what I had attempted to try and to a fully live functioning website, which is incredible. So Bobby, he will be tagged in the website and everything we do, and also stuff from here. So please, if you're looking for a web designer and a guy that literally can do anything in the space of a couple of days, if you need it, we'll tag him in it. But it's made us, I think, the whole brand has really made us come alive in the rebranding. We've had a great time here so far at the conference with the connection with other organisations, because we're a missing space. Everyone that's come up has gone, there's nothing here. There's nothing in the organisation field to look after simply first responders and emergency services people and their safety, and just to simply be. Everything is about going and doing a course or get your, your resume together, and we'll apply for things where people simply want to go and vent because you've lost your identity. You want to find that. So we've had a really great response from people at the conference.
Yeah, excellent, mate. It's been, you're right, just sitting here for the last 2 days, it's been incredible. People coming up, talking about mental health. Obviously, the whole thing is about suicide prevention, mental health intervention, early intervention, different pathways and all the rest of it. But like you said, nothing for the first responder. And I had a conversation with someone earlier on. I said, you got to remember, think of a first responder is an egg with an extremely tough shell. Yeah. So you're not going to crack it. They've by the time they're in need of our services, they're normally hardened, cynical, very wary, very suspicious.
Yeah.
And as a result, it takes that, what I love, what you're talking about, that peer support, that lived experience.
Yeah.
So it takes someone who's immediately got credibility in the eye of people needing the help to actually open up. And that's what I found about it anyway.
100%. I literally had someone come up before we set up here, and she was like, "Oh, can I come and talk to you tomorrow? I've just got something on at the moment." I said, yeah. So I grabbed her card, and she goes, "I love what you guys do. I just want you to know that I think it's amazing." And I said, "Oh, well, I really appreciate that. And, we can delve further into it tomorrow." And she turned around and she goes, "You need people like you guys in this realm," because she goes, and she said, I quote, "It doesn't matter how much we write or how many theories we come across, unless you've actually lived it, it's going to sound 100% legitimate coming from someone like you, and people are going to go, oh yeah, and just believe me because I'm the one with the big hex and the little numbers after my name." So lived experience and having people, like-minded people that actually get it and have actually lived it. And that's the whole idea of what I started here, was to use myself as a guinea pig. And all the shit I've been through after 20 years, you turn around and go, well, this is how I feel now. And I use it to say, well, like 2 weeks ago, I had a mini mental breakdown in the middle of the night, just crying and feeling terrible and stressed and bad nightmares and stuff. And I don't usually take a photo of myself in that situation. So I did it and put it on the Facebook page in the closed group. And I had messages the next day from people going, "Thank you so much for putting that on there. If you didn't do that, I wouldn't have understood that it's okay to feel that way." Because things I'd written is about generally what we all go through when we're having a bad time, when we're having those, bad images appear at night, and just a general sadness you can feel that really swamps you. And the people that were very, very supportive on the group, but the amount of people that said, "Oh, you have no idea just how strong that image is and what it's made me feel." So using what we know will help convey the message that this is a much needed and missing section of the mental health environment. I mean, for those of you who don't know, the Suicide Prevention Conference, we've got thousands of people here, speakers, and there's actually talks going on. And then you have a break and everyone else comes out. So I think they've got 43 exhibitors this year. So, yeah, and 1,000 delegates. So there's a hell of a lot of people around here. And you've got Black Dog, Lifeline, Samson. They're from all over, and people are coming from all over the country to listen. I think there's a couple of international people as well. So this is a really big thing in the realm of mental health. It's designed to get what they say is the best and brightest, to try and make the information that's gathered and collated to try and help stop suicide. And it's not just suicide for us and suicide for, there's another stand down there, the LGBTQI plus, and the Indigenous people. It's all about all encompassing and little things. So it's a massive, massive honour to be here. And I'm biased, but I think we've got the best looking exhibit stand around here. We've had a lot of people, and even people from Suicide Australia go, "Wow, that looks amazing."
Yeah.
So yeah, we just want to be out there and kind of poking the bear and say, let's go. Look, we need this space. We need this to be looked at. And everyone that's come up and spoken to us have been amazing. A lot of people have already, well, the first bloke we spoke to yesterday morning was like, wow, let's connect. We want to work. This is perfect. So we've had a lot of people come up and go, this is what's been missing. So it's actually been, I find it very humbling because I look at where I started this, which was literally sitting on my lounge, talking to 50 mates on Facebook in the chat room going, I feel like shit, what do we do? We need to look after each other. To sitting here now as a registered not-for-profit charity that we're known around Australia now. People actually recognise us. People actually contact me. I've got loads of different emails from people who are literally saying, thank you so much, you've saved my life. So it's I'm very honoured and humbled to be here.
Yeah. I think one of the things that I notice is also a lot of people just coming up not having any idea, what it is, but they come up and ask, and then they get really interested.
Yeah.
And like you said, then they said, oh, well, we could work with you getting this stuff done. It is so important. There's so many people that have said that. Come up, let's work together. Before I didn't have anybody to pass on first responders when I'm dealing with this side of it. So these sort of conferences are all about networking as well.
Yes.
Getting to know those people, being able to actually say, yes, we have someone for you that can help you with that side of it.
Yeah.
And I think that's extremely important. And look, mate, I've got to give you so much credit for actually putting yourself out there and actually putting yourself here.
Thanks,
to
mate.
be able to do that is a massive step. When we first released the podcast, we're sitting there going, oh, no, what have we done?
Yeah.
Because you don't know how it's going to be received.
That's right.
But to take that step is so important for all those first responders out there, mate. So well done.
Yeah, thanks, mate. I really do appreciate that. And it is a huge step. It was very scary for me because I was sitting there going, well, I'll see what happens. And then I didn't think we'd be in this position. I thought we'd probably get maybe 100 people at the most who wanted to be members. And like, it doesn't cost any members with anything. But then as it started to grow, and that's when it started to branch out, and the volunteer services started to get in touch with me. And then I started to think outside the square of the usual three that you think of when you say first responder. And then I had nurse friends contact me, and people I was on a radio show in Victoria. We were talking about lifesavers, and we had a lifesaver on there, and I was like, there's so many first responders. It doesn't literally have to be under lights and sirens to be a responder. The correctives, the nurses, everyone that we deal with, marine rescue, it's everyone's mental health injury and their journey is individual, just as they are. But to have like-minded people, which is what I wanted it to be, to literally sit there and I don't care whether people want to use it. And I say to people, if you want to vent, if you want to cry, if you want to laugh, if you don't want to say anything and you just watch what we do, then you're welcome. We're not asking you to do anything. Just simply be. It's a safe space for when you're ready to open up. And I have people on the group who it's taken, what are we now, 2026, it's taken 2 years plus for them to actually open up and simply like or comment on a post I've put on, or simply turn up. Like one of the girls, she turned up to Avoca probably a year and a half ago now. I used to work with her at Liverpool, and she had said to me, she goes, thank God you were here, because it's made me realise that I can get out. She goes, my husband and the girls are with me, but she was like, if you weren't here, I wouldn't have come. I wouldn't have wanted to be involved in this because she was so scared. But there was that me being that first person she knew. She went, oh, why is he? He's organised it. Now she's realised that, you know what, she can go out and be safe. She can go out and be happy. She's even found herself getting back into religion, which is good. That's good for her. She's finding that peace in the religion she forgot years ago. So it's not just having an impact on the individual, it's having an impact on the person's family, and also bringing up things from years ago. Like, we all lose identity when we leave because we were used to getting up and putting on a uniform. Nowadays, we have to get up and go, I've actually got to put on normal clothes. I don't have enough clothes, sort of thing. So it impacts you so much more than just with your health, your family, your friends, your outlook on life and things. Like, I'm doing a charity boxing match in December with Executive Fighter. So, like I said to people before, I used to get punched in the head while I was at work, so I might as well get punched in the head and raise money for charity.
Absolutely.
So, but the good thing is they've actually said they're going to, it's usually raised for Sydney Children's Hospital, but they're going to raise for us as well. So they're going to do 2 charities. I thought, it's 3 rounds. So I'm doing boxing training, and the guy who's training me, hasn't been overly like me getting hit at the moment, but just the technical drills and what you have to do. And, I thought boxing, and I apologise in advance to all people who are boxers and fighters out there, I didn't think it was a great thinking sport. And that's purely because of what we've been through as cops. When you go, there's no Marcus Coinsbury rules at 2:00 in the morning at the pub. So what do we need to do here? But it's so technical that when you literally get into that ring, it's like doing that horse aid stuff with horse aid in Sydney here. When you get into the round yard with the horse, you have to focus because that's a 700-kilo horse that can run over the top of you. So when you get into the boxing ring, you have to really focus and switch off what's going on outside. Otherwise, you're going to twist an ankle, turn the wrong way, do your knee, get punched in the face, it's really going to hurt. So you have to focus on what you're doing. And I've been finding that as well. And the guys who were at the training ground gym, so big shout out to Cameron out at Smeaton Grain with training grounds. They have a lot of first responders who go there simply for the group training and the camaraderie, and they've left. They're all getting into boxing as well. So that's something I found that I'm now doing, but I was doing it for the benefit of the charity, but now I'm really, really enjoying it. And I would never have done that before unless I'd seen this done. And I'm like, this is what we need to do. We need to step outside your comfort zone, step outside your square. It might be the case of, I don't want to go outside. That's okay. You don't want to come outside with us? Well, grab your coffee and sit outside in the sun in the morning. Get some of that serotonin happening, get some of that working and the endorphins kicking in your brain. And if you feel better when you've done it, it might just be the only thing you've achieved that day, but you've achieved it. So it's been a bit of a wild ride. There was times when I was so between last when we spoke and now, and Krista can attest to this, I was so annoyed at some stages where I did a live on the groups going, what's the point? You just don't give a toss. I can't do this. You're not turning up. We can't do this. I was so negative. But because I'm the sort of person that goes, I can see where we need to be. Let's grab our bags and go. Let's just charge through. But instead, I know you've got to jump through the hoops and things like that. But I'm impatient because I know, and I knew back then just how good we can be and just how we can save people. So it was a case of let's get there. And now we're here at this position. I can see where we can be in another 6 to 12 months. So I'm like, let's go, let's get there. So it's been a massively wild ride, man. And I'm really enjoying it. But the fact is that I know what we are doing is saving lives. I've got the messages I've had the phone calls, and, it's only we're going to get bigger and better, and we're going to save more people.
Yep. Excellent. So, folks, that's Bellator Fortitudinum for basic mental health support for first responders and all first responders. Yeah,
paid and volunteer. So you don't have to be one of the main 3. We literally do CFA, lifesavers, SES, everything like that across the country. So if you're in a first responder realm or emergency services field, jump on the website. We're on there. Jump on the Facebook. We've now got a business page, so other organisations can like us and we can work together on there and we can communicate that way. But we also have the closed Facebook group for actual people who work in those realms. So, mate, we're welcoming. The only thing we don't do is we don't organisation bash. We don't attack other people. I've only in the space that's been going, I've only punted 2 people off the group, and that's their fault.
Yep.
But yeah, we've got a really good 700 on there now, so it's good.
Mate, if you're happy, we might have a chat to a couple of your
go for it.
Couple of your practitioners, because Bellator's growing and growing. So
I know it's almost as big as my stomach now.
Getting there, yeah.
Well, thank you very much, guys. It's been an absolute pleasure having you here.
Yeah, beauty.
All right,
thanks, Nick.
Thanks,
love it, mate. So we've had a chat with Nick, this obviously just now, Bellator Fortitudinum, and he's now got a number of people working with him in that area, in that space. And we've got Krista Hawke. Krista, can you introduce yourself? Just let you know what you do with Bellator, what your role is, and what you see is the requirement for Bellator.
Yeah, hi guys. My name is Krista, and I was a psychologist for nearly 30 years. Nick approached me maybe 22, 23, I think, and just said, "Oh, look, it's really hard to find people who specialise in working with first responders." And I had been doing that for the last sort of 15 years of my career. Super, super passionate, and it's a very different kind of skill set to know how to navigate both having that organisational understanding, the unique cultures of each of those organisations, and then also, having the capacity to build that rapport, earn that respect, and assist people to navigate their injury, whether that meant going back to the workplace or whether it was transitioning out. So Nick asked me at that time really if I would be willing to be the psychologist. And I certainly said yes. I was super impressed with what Nick had already put together by that stage. He was just in that process of getting it registered as a charity, and he'd grown that group, and he was clearly passionate about that. And I really felt that what he was offering and his vision for the kind of support, is fundamental, because it is a huge gap. Most of the people that I worked with, when they go off, become very isolated. And we often, I heard you guys talking about, suicide and mental health, and it's so much more than mental health. There are other factors that are just as important. So suicide risk is isolation is a really big factor. Relationship breakdown, drugs and alcohol. These are all the kinds of things that are often coexisting for emergency service workers when they've been in for a while or going through that injury, as it's a huge, it really impacts all of their life and factors of their life, and not just them as individuals, but their family as well. So I was very busy at the time and met up with Nick, and he was doing the coffee catch-ups in my local area, which is the Central Coast in New South Wales. So I went down and met some of the members, and I did some debriefing with Nick, and kind of offered some sort of consulting, I suppose, perspectives. I presented a poster at the National Suicide Prevention Conference 2 years ago. And that poster was really about, my accumulated frustrations and trying to raise awareness for, I think, the kinds of changes that need to occur so that we can actually really get the data that we need in order to get funding, to raise that awareness so that we can put things in place to really maintain a healthier workplace, and also to take care of our first responders, not only those that are still operational, but afterwards as well. So I ended up with my own injury, PTSD and moral injury, and so I took some time off and was then able to be more involved in really assisting Nick to put a board together to really improve the kind of governance which is required in the background of a charity. Assisted him with the rebranding and the building of the website, and connected him with Suicide Prevention Australia, and Bellator Fortitudinum became an organisational member of Suicide Prevention Australia, which is amazing.
Yep.
That is no easy feat. No?
Yeah,
You don't just kind of, sign up and we're accepted. You have to really meet the requirements, and so and here we are. Helped to raise the funding. A shout out to Spiral Foods. So Spiral Foods actually gave us a huge donation, which allowed us to be here at this conference. So Spiral Foods is a whole food, and they're very much into understanding the importance of nourishment, diet, as an important factor in health and well-being overall. So, yeah.
Perfect.
One thing we found, Krista, yesterday, and like Damo just spoke before when we were talking to Nick, it's about people that get it. And it was funny. I reckon after about 2 minutes of talking to you, she gets it.
Yeah.
And you don't get that with a lot of psychs, you
No.
know, because I suppose they've never really been in the realm of first responders. But yeah, straight away we're going, oh yeah, she's one of us. So yeah, it was fantastic. You want to just go into that a little bit from your side?
Yeah, it's funny. I mean, certainly, you know, that is how I was as busy as I was, because it was all word of mouth, right? There is a lot of psychs out there, but not many that work enough or work in a way that I think resonates for first responders. So, I mean, that's what people would say when they'd come and see me is, oh, fuck yeah, they were right?
Yeah.
You do get it.
Yeah.
You know, I'll swear, I'm real. And I'm really passionate about neuroscience and the importance of understanding and being able to help people understand they're not fucking crazy, you're not going psychotic, you won't become psychotic, you feel like it. You know, when you're really in the throes of PTSD, you can feel like you really are mad, but you're not. You know, it's about really understanding, being able to help people to, I guess, comprehend and regain that sense of agency over what's happening in their world and in their body, and assisting that, you know, the brain to kind of really get back on board and get those connections working again. Because a lot of the symptoms, you know, it's a really normal response, the changes that occur, right? And the injury that occurs from first responder work is a really normal response to really abnormal life events, because you're being exposed. And we're talking about, you know, first responder work is really like you're in a continual war zone. You never really leave. And the first couple of years, it's kind of exciting, and there's, you know, your ability to kind of put your uniform on and get yourself ready, and off you go. And then you were, you know, Ben, you were saying that after a few years, you were like, well, I don't think I got the adrenaline dump anymore. And we were having a chat about that, and I was like, well, it's because you know, in order to protect yourself and keep doing that work, you've got to disconnect from those internal signals because they're unpleasant, you know, and so you habituate to them, and you don't realise that an adrenaline is still there, and you're probably still adrenaline seeking, you know, after you leave. We were talking a bit about that. So I think, you know, for me, you know, when clients would come and see me, it was because, I mean, a lot of them had unfortunately had bad experiences with psychs, or EAP. I don't know what it's like in the territory, but
ESS.
You know, I never heard particularly good things about those experiences where, you know, the either the commander or maybe somebody would reach out and call the EAP provider if they got back to them. I mean, that was one big factor and barrier. But often just the really inane and unhelpful things they might say. You know, so you might hear that, oh, just take a deep breath and count to 10 and you'll be right, mate. You know? And, you know, Nick speaks openly about, you know, after that really, really bad job that led to him going off, and the EAP provider rings him and starts yakking and making jokes about parks, which is where he was working at the time. He's like, do you have any idea what I've just been through? You know? And they just don't.
No.
They just don't. It's not really embedded in any of the training, which is unfortunate. It's something I would really like to address, not only in terms of training psychologists, allied health, GPs even. You know, how hard it is to find a good GP that understands the workers' comp system, understands the kinds of support or professionals or the things that their patients, you know, can access. So I think, you know, I am still really passionate and hope to be able to affect those changes so that we can reach more people, and more people are supported when they need that support, identified earlier, you know, so that, you know, hopefully we can reduce the amount of people that aren't getting the help until they're fucked and feel like they're broken, you know. They're not broken. but you feel like it,
Yeah.
you know, and it's often that people, you know, unfortunately get to that point. And of course, coming back and recovering from that is much more challenging than if you'd caught it 5 years before and you'd been able to put some of those things in place, you know.
One thing you did say yesterday that I liked was, and we talk about retention more so than recruitment and more so than treating people once it's too late. Retention is the big thing. You're going to have this brain drain leaving any organisation, be it police, fire, ambulance, whichever organisation it is. You're going to lose your middle management, on the road supervisors with years of gritty experience on the road. When if you just put a few things in place, you could keep those people, make them feel valued, make them feel wanted. The purpose is still there, and just treat it like if you're a concreter, you're going to have a sore back, right? If you're a copper and ambo, you're going to get mental health injuries. Simply, it's going to happen.
Yeah.
So what we do is we just understand that that's the way it is, and we put things in place that can prevent it or treat it immediately. And the big one that you were talking about is the education. I think we've come a long way, even in our time. We've come a long way since 2007. We've certainly come a long way since 1960, but I think there's still a way to go, as you've said yesterday. And that's what I really liked. It was that the real practical and gritty knockabout way that you communicate with first responders, because, like I just said to Nick, we're extremely cynical. As soon as you say psych, I go, righto. And then we watch our P's and Q's. We probably hold the truth back a bit because we don't want to be removed or have something go wrong in the organisation or be identified as a possible weakness. So I often found ESS was there to protect the organisation, not to look after the people. It was bit of a box ticking, and that's not taking away. Those guys were doing the best they could, but they didn't really understand what we were doing.
Yeah.
So
there's a lot of mistrust, certainly in New South Wales, particularly the police with the EAP providers, because they fear that they're going to report back to the organisation. And more recently, they put a team of psychs into a lot of the commands. And I think it's called the PACER team was really the clinical nurses that were there to sort of take some of the load off and support police who are doing the mental health jobs. And then I'm just trying to think about the psychs, what they were called, the program. It's gone out of my brain at the moment. But look, I found that some of the younger cops were more willing to talk.
Yep.
But those who'd been in a few years definitely weren't real keen on it.
Yeah,
because they were often placed next to next to the commander's office. And they were like, well, there's still that cultural issue, isn't there? Not wanting to put your hand up. You don't want to target on your back. You don't want to fuck your career. And even though there are many people that, have returned back into the workforce, much healthier and are better leaders, as particularly in that sort of sergeant and upward rank where I was working with a lot of them. And they would go on and become inspectors or, take the next step up. So it doesn't, it doesn't have to ruin careers,
No.
And I think you're right. There is more people talking about it, willing to talk about it. But I think there still needs to be better education, and I used to say to people, look, this isn't actually a mental health issue. It's actually a physiological injury. It's like it is a brain injury.
Yeah.
There are physiological changes, metabolic changes to different areas of the brain that come from that continual exposure. And so just like you would have to learn to walk and talk again after a stroke, it's actually a physical injury.
Yeah. Yep.
And you can end up pretty depressed as well. But when you've really got PTSD and all the areas of your brain aren't really working or they're not cooperating with each other, you're going to feel fucking depressed.
Yeah.
Because usually your life's gotten pretty small and it's just work.
Yep.
Barely coping at home, maybe. Things are falling apart at home. So, years of not sleeping properly. So you're not getting the kind of benefits of sleep, which is when most of us, our bodies and brains and immune system restores.
Yep.
Lots of other chronic health conditions often come along with it. People just don't know. We were talking about irritable bowel, or the excess cortisol and adrenaline, which affects your guts. So you get heaps of people with lots of gastrointestinal issues, heart issues, all sorts of things. Skin rashes, all sorts of things which people don't connect that it's got anything to do with
coming from that.
Yeah.
Mm.
I think it's like, and that's the thing. There's so many side effects to not getting the correct treatment. So, like you said, all the physical, whether it's your stomach, whether it's your eating habits, whether your sleeping habits, but all of them play a part in keeping you healthy. And I think if the department actually does that, it probably reduce their sick leave significantly.
Yeah.
So this is, and we're going into more of a monetary way of looking at it, and productivity. So
they call it presenteeism, right? Which is actually more has more of an impact than absenteeism. So absenteeism when you're not able to get to work, but people who are working who aren't well, it's called presenteeism. Yeah,
good point. Yeah.
You think about how fatigued the workforce is, and the fact that, particularly in emergency services, that fatigue, but people who are making really critical decisions, right?
Yeah.
Big decisions. They have to be quick. They have to be on their feet, and this is going to impact not only their lives, their colleagues' lives, but lives in the community as well.
Yep, absolutely.
And just always flabbergasted me. I was just saying with you guys, all the highway cars here in New South Wales, fatigue kills, and I'm like, fucking cops probably not had more than 4 hours sleep in the last 3 days.
That's right.
Exactly
why aren't we looking after them? Like, there it is. They're sort of getting that message out. Slow down. Speed kills. Fatigue kills.
Yep.
It's worse than what is it? 2 hours sleep is the equivalent of 0.08, I think.
Is it? Wow.
Yeah. In terms of its impact on your reaction time.
Yep.
And your ability to make decisions.
Yeah.
Wow. I mean, you were just astounded. We mentioned some of the long shifts that we did, and you just go, "What? Really?"
It's not uncommon, right? So you could be doing, you're rostered, for the 12, you might do 15, 16, sometimes longer.
Yeah.
And then for a lot of you guys, you're not necessarily working in the same area where you live. So you might be an hour from home, hour and a half from home. That's not uncommon.
Yeah.
So you add that on to the beginning of that 16-hour shift, the end of that 16-hour shift, and
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that's right.
And they're often
So I think we're on the. I sense a bit of a change. I sense a cultural change in the police forces. We know there's issues going on with retention, with recruiting. There's going to have to be a point where it gives, and I think this is something that's forget whinging, like we say, Bellator. We don't bash organisations. We try and fix a problem. We identify a problem. We find a solution. So to me, it's that this could be that solution. We improve people's ability to work, break the mould and remake it, and actually come up with a solution that maybe looks nothing like what we ever saw before in emergency services. Like you were saying, shorter shifts, not working a 38-hour week, working less because of the impact, the scientifically backed impact that it has on your body.
Yeah.
So we understand that we can't work that much. We've got to reduce it. But what will happen now is we're not sending a procession of broken people into the abyss. We're actually maintaining that skill set, maintaining that experience, and keeping them healthy, looking after their families, and ultimately the community. Yeah. So I think the conversation's there, and I love it. I love what you were talking about yesterday and today. So not so much today, but more yesterday.
Look, I think
it's hard to keep up with you guys.
No.
And look, I think that's been one of the significant things from the conference in the last couple of days is how many people have approached us and are just as passionate, right? These are from all different states and territories that have come up and spoken to us and who are super passionate about trying to get these discussions happening.
Yeah.
And trying, because unfortunately any, research or any willingness for organisations, one of the challenges, of course, is that, it's state funded. But it's a federal issue. The health and wellbeing of our emergency services and suicide risk is certainly a national issue.
Absolutely.
You know, and to try and find a way to navigate, I guess, those barriers so that we can really get an effective assessment of health and well-being of the workforce. That's what, I guess that's sort of more of my approach. I'm like, well, if we do it from a health perspective, like they did for the veterans, they did a massive study. It was a $5 to $7 million study, and it was similar to like a health assessment. I can't remember the name of it now, but that's it is a way to then be able to address and recognise those gaps. And it isn't about, punitive measures for any of the organisations, but I think a better use of resource and funding. I found the frustration of some of these projects, the police were doing one thing and the AMBOs are doing another, and then the fires are doing another, and spending huge amounts of money to try and put programs in place that are going to help their staff, their employees. However, I think some of the cultural issues around people not wanting to trust, or they don't trust their own organisation, so it's attached to that, it's problematic.
Yeah.
But also the amount of things that were being doubled up. And, the same wheel was being reinvented. I'm like, why aren't we pooling those resources, bringing it outside of those organisations, but available to all of those organisations? Which could be, we're talking about the sort of treatment and research centres. And so imagine the health data we could be getting if it was a requirement, not able to get your increment or, go for a promotion if you're not taking care of yourself and you're not learning.
And your troops.
Right? Yeah. So being able to, that would give also that national approach to, all right, well, let's do in maybe 3 of the different states, we'll look at a cohort of 1,000 first responders, and we'll change the shifts, and we'll subtract that over a period of, so there's a group of police and a group of AMBOs, fireys, not changing the whole organisation. We're going, all right, let's do a study, 2-year period, let's change the way the shifts are running, or let's put some of these things in place, and then you're tracking the impact of that.
Yeah,
and
for sure.
If they're health markers, they're not getting as sick, they're improved relationships, they're across all sorts of measures, cortisol, other types of measures, and then they can go, all right, well, it's a big cost to put some of these programs in place. I understand that, so you've got to justify it. But
it's a bigger cost to keep wrecking people.
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
I mean, it's terrifying. I think the community really knew what's happened to the numbers.
Yeah.
It is terrifying.
Yeah.
It's more than halved. When I left a couple of years ago, a lot of the commands in New South Wales were running at 52%.
Yeah. No, it's a great conversation, and the beauty of it, we could talk all afternoon, I think, but we probably shouldn't.
We could.
So the beauty of it is we're going through putting some practical solutions in place. I think that's the big one. And I love what you spoke about, how it's a physiological problem.
Yeah.
And, a lot of people wouldn't understand that. They think he's a bit down in the dumps. He's a bit scared from what he saw. It's like, no.
Or, those head noises. He's going off with head noises.
Yeah.
It's like those sorts of cultural changes, which I think have to be addressed and changed. And I think it is changing, as you're saying.
Yeah.
There are certainly more people who are willing to talk about it. And I found too that I think some of that is dependent on, particularly those managerial, sergeants and upwards who have a successful treatment experience, and then they're going back into the workforce.
That's right.
And then they're the ones who are going, hey, I can see this is happening in you, because now they can identify it.
Yeah.
That's right.
And they're going, it's definitely worth it. Go and speak to someone. There's no shame in that.
Yeah. No, perfect.
I think it's going to get noisy in here probably fairly soon. So, but what we'll do, and what we'd like to do, is also get you on again in the future.
Sure.
And for all the listeners out there, if you've got a question, we've now actually got access.
We have an expert, folks.
That's right. Yeah.
No, I'm not registered as a psych anymore. I've hung that hat up. You can take the title away, but you can't take the madness from me.
That's right.
Not at all. Krista,
all my passion.
Yeah. Absolutely. No, thanks very much. It's great, and I'm just stoked to look, nothing against other psychs, but I'm stoked to sit with a psych who truly gets first responders because, like I said before, we're a tough nut to crack. And, yeah, it's really positive. I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah.
Yep.
Happy days.
Well, thanks again, Krista, for coming on. And that's the Two Ordinary Cops signing off.